What up, y'all? I'm gonna do this video in my car because it is very cold outside and it's really raining. And like I said in the last video, I basically live on a farm, so the animals are really loud and it will just be very distracting and we won't get to the point of the video quick enough. So how to get that jacked back and get rid of that whack back. First of all, you have to train your upper back. That is something that I made a huge mistake of. I just thought that you just had to train your lats and just do pull-ups. No, you have to do, you gotta do your rows, man. And I always thought that doing rows was dumb because I never felt any sort of contraction. I always thought that you always had to feel your lats working. And it wasn't till, later in my training, I actually figured out how to actually train your upper back and find out that mind muscle connection. Your trapezius, your rhomboids, your teres major, teres minor, those are really huge and very prevalent parts of your back that you have to train. Like, once I started emphasizing all that, man, like, my back looked insane. So now you're probably thinking, like, what are the best exercises to do for your upper back? Really, I would just try any sort of rowing variation where you can actually feel like a contraction on your upper back. So my personal favorite upper back exercise right now is the lever row. That's just the best upper back exercise for me because I can actually feel my upper back and really build that mind muscle connection. I know I hate using the term mind muscle connection because it's just so gym bro-ish and cliche. So you can't just do the exercise. There's actually a way that you should train your upper back. For me, the best way to actually train the upper back and actually feel the muscle working and actually activate that muscle is protraction and retraction. Protraction is when you're kind of rounding your upper back. So it's all about your scapula movement. So when the weight is down, I'm basically like almost rounding my upper back a little bit and making sure that my arms are fully extended. I'm gonna show an example of how that looks because I can't really explain it that well. Get your and get beat to death again. Tell them who we are. Dirty music. And for lat training, you want to keep your elbows close to your waist, almost. Like you're bringing your elbows inwards when you're doing a vertical pulling movement for your lats. Or even if you're doing a row. When you're doing a row, bringing your elbows towards your waist and bring your elbows in is going to really activate those lat muscles. You also want to control your tempo. You don't want to do sloppy, crappy, fast reps. Like, you actually want to control the eccentric portion. The eccentric portion is bringing the weight downwards, right? Like right before you fully protract your back. You want to control that so you can actually keep constant tension on your upper back. Another thing is, people baby their backs way too much. Like this whole push-pull legs thing. I mean, if you want to do push-pull legs, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but you're really missing out on a lot of back gains by not training your upper back or your lats like every session. That is one part of your body that can recover so fast. And when I say every session, I mean your lower body sessions as well. Like, just think about it. Like, is there really a reason why you shouldn't train your back during your lower body movements, especially if it's such like a prime part of your body that is being used when you are doing a squat or a deadlift or any sort of lower body exercise? Like, doesn't it make sense to train it and strengthen it on your lower body days, especially if you can superset exercises? Like, if you're doing quads, like, why not superset that with like some sort of row or a lat pull down or something like that? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me why you shouldn't train your upper back for your lats, especially your upper back on those days. You probably don't have to do lats every session, but you can really do upper body every session, or upper back every session, my bad. Because I find that lats takes a little bit longer to recover. Another extremely important thing is you have to do some sort of heavy compound movements. Now, I know this might sound silly to you guys. You're like, duh, like, why would you not do rows or do any hard exercises that really nukes your back? Well, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of charlatans who tell people that the only exercises you have to do are those fancy little, you know, like iliac pull downs and everything, which are great exercises, don't get me wrong, but that goes for every muscle group. You have to do a heavy compound. I think there's also a misconception that a compound exercise has to be done with a barbell. There are a lot of machine exercises that are considered compounds, like hack squats. That's considered a compound movement, believe it or not. And like Smith machine squats and Smith machine bench press, I mean, that can also be used as an accessory, and it can also be used as like a main variation. Another thing is training your lower back as well. Now, the easiest way to emphasize and really grow your lower back is just to do deadlifts. At least in my opinion, is deadlifts are really fun. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I have extremely good leverages for deadlifts, and I can progress really well with it. Another reason why I love deadlifts is because it really works your spinal erectors a lot more than most exercises. Especially like a stiff-legged deadlift or a Romanian deadlift. Those are the two bodybuilding variations that you should be doing. Doing regular deadlifts, it doesn't really emphasize those muscles as well. It does, but it's a lot better if you do like a stiff-legged deadlift or a Romanian deadlift with a tempo, because you're really feeling like those spinal erectors give you that Wolverine back. Now, if you're like a squat bench specialist enjoyer and you're not a power lifter and you just hate deadlifts, doing like a back, some sort of hip hinge, there's a lot of hip hinges that you can do. I think like the best ones, or the best alternatives you can do is like a back extension. You know, if you have like a GHD machine or any sort of machine where you have enough room to actually like hinge. I'm gonna show an example of what a back extension looks like. So all in all, the conclusion, you have to work every part of your back to have a massive back. You have to work everything. Like, you just can't just train your lats and expect to have like an amazing looking back. Okay, I really hope that helped at least one person who watched the video. If you want, you can like, subscribe, share the video to a friend who has trouble with training their back. And I'll see you next time, man.